Hi, this is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and today on the Masterbuilt 560 Gravity Series, we're going to be doing a smoked meatloaf. Now, we're actually not doing it as a traditional smoked meatloaf, we're just doing it more as a baked meatloaf, but I'm going to tell you that it's going to get most of the flavor that you would get from the smoke. It just won't be as penetrated deeply on the inside. But in my past experience, I've also noticed that meatloaf doesn't tend to get in as much anyway. So the nice thing is you get that nice kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, maybe a kiss of smoke on the outside, and it just makes your meatloaf just taste so good. And we're not going to be overbearing on the smoke, so my wife will really enjoy this. So I've preheated the smoker up to 385, and then it went just a little higher than that. I think it's at about 400 now. We're going to be running it at 375 for this, and that's not exactly on the recipe, but you can check that out and you'll see what the recipe calls for exactly. So go ahead and open it up, and then it'll let it cool off just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this, and I did take some pictures, so you'll be able to see those, but I think this is a pretty good shot here. So notice that I put all my food in tinfoil, disposable tinfoil pans, and I did spray just the bottom down with a little bit of spray olive oil. Normally when I use a tinfoil pan like that, I really make sure that I get the corners really well for any food, but because this is separated away from the edges, you don't need to oil the edges at all. So I'm going to just set this right out there in the middle, and then I'm going to make sure that the pan is flat because of the weight of the meatloaf. And this is about 2 1/4 pounds plus the mix. The weight of the meatloaf, when you're carrying it around, it kind of curves the pan out. So I'm going to go ahead and close it down now. And actually, you know what? I think before I do that, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to insert the probe. I'm going to check the probe to make sure it's not hot on the outside first, because it was on the inside. Not cooperating. Now, with most dishes, I won't put the probe in until we get a lot further along. But with the meatloaf, we're really not going to have to move it around much. I might move it left or right a little bit to get the heat the way I want it. But this one seems to be totally center heat. The 1050 that I have seems to be a little bit more to the right, closer to the firebox. I'm going to go ahead and close this down, and then I'll plug that in, and we'll see what the starting temperature is. I did rest the burger, so it did have a chance to come up in temperature just a little bit. And let's see what we got for an internal temperature. 47. So that's not a lot out of the fridge, because my fridge temperature is about 34. But it's up, you know, anything is a start. So we're going to let this run for a while and see how it goes. And we'll come back in about an hour to check on it. Alright, so I've been watching the thermometer here, and it's been a little over an hour now, and we've got a temperature now of just over 167 degrees. It will keep cooking while it's resting, so it'll get up a little bit higher, depending on how well you want your meatloaf done. Depends on the temperature you're going to go for. But 165 is the minimum target temperature, and you know, if you have fresh, good beef, you can go lower if you feel comfortable with that. I know a lot of people eat their hamburgers lower than that, but food safety recommends 165 degrees internal temperature. And there is eggs in there, so you have to consider that also. So we're going to go ahead and open her up, and while we were gone, I went ahead and glazed it with a simple glaze of ketchup and a little bit of brown sugar and a little bit of Worcestershire. Not much, because I didn't want to thin out the ketchup. I'm going to go ahead and with the oven glove, I'm going to pull that off, and then I'll Just back that up in here. I know it's hard to tell, but I'm actually right-handed, not left-handed, so let's get this done. So, just want to leave that in there like that. So it's just kind of that thermometer just kind of sitting in there unplugged. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this all out right on the plate here. So there's really no reason to do anything special with this because I didn't cook on the grill, so there's no need to clean it, which is great. When you cook on a pan or on grill mats, you really have little cleanup to do whatsoever. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn it off. And then I'm going to put the gates in so that way I can save the rest of the charcoal for tomorrow night's dinner. I'm not really sure exactly how much charcoal's left, but I filled it up 2/3 of the way, and I'm expecting it to be about halfway full. So I'm going to go ahead and pop a look in here. Remember, I haven't mentioned this in a few videos, that when you do open this and take a look, first thing you want to do is open it, stand back, let the heat go, make sure there's no flames coming out, and then you can pop your head down in there and take a look. Real smoky, and I can't see the flames, so that means that there's plenty of charcoal left in there. And if you want to get an idea of exactly how much, this is what I normally do. So it's kind of like a dipstick, about 1/3 of it. So we only used about half of the charcoal I put in there. I did put wood in there too, and you have to keep this sealed up, otherwise the charcoal won't go out. So like I said at the beginning of the video, this is the 560. This is actually my brother's unit, and I have been very happy with this unit. It just did this meatloaf perfectly. Really, I mean, I did it in oven style. So if you want to know exactly what I used, I did include a picture at the beginning of the video of my seasonings and stuff. But check out the recipe on the website. It links to the article, and I just used the standard recipe for this meatloaf here, and then there's a few other ones, other meatloaf recipes in that article. But I'll tell you what, the nice thing here, it's really hot today, and I didn't have to heat the house up to cook this, and I'll get that smoky flavor at the same time. So if you look below, I'm going to put the link to the meatloaf article in there, put the link to the review for the 560, and the link to the product on Amazon, and the 1050, which is the larger one, which I have sitting over there, and then all the normal products that I use, like my charcoal and the wood chunks that I like to put in. I put apple chunks in on this one. Pecan is my favorite, but a few wood chunks of any type of fruit wood really makes a nice addition to just about any meat. And all those links below, they are affiliate links, so when you use them I will get a commission, and I do appreciate that. Thank you for watching. It's time for me to go eat my meatloaf.